Hey, y'all. So, I usually like to start a little early and do what I call the green room chats. And, just make sure that you guys can hear me and everything is going well. Because I don't know if you remember some months ago, the first time I did this, things went a little awry. So, I'm just going to make sure. Okay, yeah, I see what the co host call me. All right. These are the little things that we talking about. Hey. All right. So this is Green Room Chats. And so we're going to get started. Um yeah, today's show is going to be about the evolution of relationships. And we're going to discuss how dating, relationships, and the view of marriage has changed. So you definitely want to stick around. I have some pretty opinionated uh, personalities, and it's going to be a great conversation. Waiting for my co host to get all checked in here. I see he has got the link. You know, it's always interesting when you're live. And because my shows are always unscripted and unedited, we just rock with the flow of how things go. So let's see how this goes. You guys have any questions? I know you can see the link, the video right here, because I can see myself. That's so cool. Um, so if you have any questions, just type it in the comments. The show is going to start shortly. Waiting for my co host. Come on, Mr. Co host. I see you got the link. Get on in here. Let's have a little talk before the show actually starts. I want to introduce you to everybody and I want to get your opinion on a few things before we get started because my co host is quite opinionated as well. Well, I guess I am too. I do want to ask how many of you are listening to the radio show. I have the Bomb Radio Show Monday mornings from 7 to 9 and Thursdays and Fridays from 12 to 2. My guest hosts are amazing. We have some really great conversations. You really should tune in and check me out. Check us out. Let's see, tomorrow is Monday from 7 to 9. I have holistic health practitioner Samir Ali, and he is going to talk to the men about erectile dysfunction. I know a lot of y'all just said that has nothing to do with me, but listen, Viagra, Cialis, those are multi-billion-dollar businesses. So that means that it's more than just a few of you guys that need it. All right. Okay. That alarm's going off. How about that? All right. Yes. So multi-billion-dollar business, more than a few of you that need it. Make sure you tune in tomorrow morning from 7 to 9 a.m. I am also interviewing Miss Tamika Thompson. I just love her. She's so energetic, such a big personality, and claims that she's shy. I don't know where she gets that idea from, but okay, I'm rocking with her on it. But I'm looking forward to interviewing her. She is the founder and CEO of Sassy Thrifters. So we're going to talk to her about her business and get to know her just a little bit, all that kind of good stuff. So yeah, we're holding tight for Mr. Co-host to bring himself on here. I am looking. Let me see. Let me make sure I got the chat on. think I got the chat on. Hopefully, you guys can chat with me. The show officially starts at 3 p.m. So you could just keep it right here on my page or on YouTube. I am live on Facebook, on my main page, on my media and events page, as well as on YouTube, my YouTube channel, Xavier Fox Media. So you can check me out there as well. Please go to my YouTube channel, Xavier Fox Media, and click subscribe. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. I have all my previous talk shows and things like that on there. There's quite a few of them. Mm-hmm. So if you want to binge, it could be a great Netflix and chill. You can cast it to your TV. It'll be a great, a great Sunday afternoon thing to do. Like right now. Well, not right now, because right now I want you to watch this. But it would be a great Sunday afternoon thing to do on a Sunday when I'm not doing a podcast. If I'm doing a podcast, you should be right here with me. All righty. So at 3 o'clock, we are going to get started. Uh-oh. And it looks like my co-host is in the green room. Hey there, Mr. Co-host.
What's up? What's up? What's up? What's going on?
Everything. So you driving?
No, my lady driving. We on our way to this um post videoing of a documentary, the DOC's documentary. Martin Luther King Jr. the third will be there, and some other people will be there. It's over in the city of Dallas, in the hood, I guess.
Oh,
So
the hood of
yeah,
Dallas, huh?
yeah. That's what it's supposed to be like I know it's a part of his documentary, but it's gonna be some black movement type stuff going on. So go over there and check that out.
Okay, well, I got you
Mm.
till 4 o'clock, right?
Yeah,
Okay. Oh,
yeah,
so that's quite a drive then, huh?
yeah.
Okay, you make it quite a drive to go to the hood. Are you driving 80? Because when I was in Dallas a couple weeks ago, I was driving 80 on the highway.
80. No, no. She don't drive 80.
No?
She
Okay.
don't drive 80.
Well, I had that little cute Audi, so it just kind of made me drive 80 because as soon as you touched the gas, it just took off. So yeah, I
Oh
was fun.
yeah.
I don't usually
Yeah.
drive 80 either. So this is what I call our green room conversation. So we just kind of
Okay.
give our listening audience a chance to get on, for the 3 o'clock start and give the guests a chance to log in and all that kind of stuff, like it took you a minute. But you're actually on time because I told you 2:50 and it's not quite 2:50 yet. Right?
Right. Yeah, I almost forgot again.
Yeah,
You
I
be
would have.
you communicate on Facebook like that's your phone.
Well, Facebook is an easy way for me to disseminate information to a large group of people. I do a lot of stuff. Remember, I do the radio show, and this is a podcast. I do a
Right,
whole,
right,
I do a lot of
right.
stuff. So I do it the easiest way for me to get it done. But before the show started, I wanted to get your opinion on our topic for today. So let me just ask you the questions here. How do you think the views on dating have changed just in your lifetime, in your experience of dating?
The views on dating
Yeah, how
have
has
changed
dating?
a lot. I mean, the internet dating, the internet. You have the internet dating now, and just you know, social media has allowed people to see see people that they would never see ever in their life, probably. And now because of that, you have more options, and in having more options, it makes it hard for you to sit down and just deal with one person. It's you got people in one ear and people in the other ear and people in your face. So, and if everybody is offering you something, it makes it it kind of complicates things.
Excuse me.
Is it pairing? You got to set a pin, baby. It's this one. Oh,
I need a little
but
water.
yeah,
My throat
but
is
yeah.
dry.
So, oh, okay. But yeah, yeah, that, and then you got all of the date sites and people in your inbox, people in your, all of this stuff. Yeah, you all right? You sound like you about to. You need some water or some wine.
Well, I just got a little bit of both. I
uh,
actually have a cold,
oh, okay.
just a cold,
Just the cold.
and I'm on that end part of the cold where everything comes up. So I might start to cough a little bit during the show, in which case you should take over the questions at that point.
Oh, well, I don't have the questions.
There are no specific questions. You just take over
Oh,
questioning whatever question is on your mind at the time. That's what you're
okay.
supposed to do, co-host.
Okay. I got to ad lib. All
Exactly.
right, I got you.
This show is
I got
about.
you.
There is
Yeah.
unscripted and unedited.
And unedited. Okay, I got you.
Right, we go right
Got
there. So what about relationships? Do you think relationships have changed?
you. Yeah, relationships have changed a lot. There are different expectations um, now in relationships that you would normally not have to deal with. You got the social media aspect. You got the, you know, everybody. Not everybody. I won't say everybody. A lot of people. a lot of people look at this thing monetarily. To where back in the day, it wasn't so much so a monetary thing. You know, uh, dates are different. I mean, it's all different. I mean, I'm not that guy, but what, I mean, not who or what, but women really expect. There are people out here that expect a $500 dinner on your first date.
I'll be reading that.
Yeah, like, are you shitting me? Like, I mean, and what does that prove? What does that
Absolutely
prove?
nothing, because that does not mean that a relationship would work. That just
Yeah,
means that potentially he has more than a $500 limit on his credit card.
yeah, yeah.
It don't mean he actually has that kind of money. It just means
Exactly.
he has that limit on his credit card.
Right.
Exactly.
And so if I go out on a date and I spend $500 on a dinner, where does the date go to the next day? See, that's why people think that you got people that say, well, you pay for sex. Well, if I pay $500 for a dinner, I definitely want some sex afterwards. That's hands down. I'm not playing. Look, if I spend $500 on it, we fucking. Is what it is. I'm not. It's absurd. It's
And that's
absurd.
why men don't want to pay $500 on a dinner on a first date, because can you actually expect sex on a first date?
I mean, it just depends on. You got to know who you're talking to.
Right.
You got to know who you're talking to and who you're dealing with when you go out. But I mean, then if you honestly expect to have sex with this person, I mean, do you have to spend $500 if you know you're gonna have sex on the first date? Do you really have to spend $500?
Well, my question always turns into: is it about you liking that man, or are you going for the money? And for me, sometimes I feel it's more about the money. And I know some women will say, well, some women got it like that, they can get it like that, so if they can get it like that, then let them do it, and that's all fine and good. I mean, I've been 20 before, and people have done stuff, but to me, that comes along with that expectation, and I never want anybody to expect anything from me, so I never put myself in a situation where I feel like they have a right to expect something. Because if I pay $500 for dinner, like, okay, yeah, you're not just gonna eat up that $500. I need my car fixed over here. You're gonna have to change some brakes and some You're gonna have to do
Yeah,
something
yeah.
because
It's other places
talking
to spend $500 than on something to eat.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's a waste anyway. So what about the views of marriage? Do you think the views of marriage has changed? A lot of men now say that marriage doesn't benefit men. What do you think?
Um, if the views of marriage have changed, but if people go into marriage for the right reasons, which I mean, the right reasons for everybody is different than, from one person to the next. I believe if you go into marriage for love, then it benefits both parties. If you go into marriage for the monetary value of the marriage, it benefits the person that don't have no money. You know, so it is people get married for all kind of reasons. You know, dudes get married because the woman got good sex. Or vice versa.
Do
You
people
know,
really
and
marry because the sex is good?
yeah, 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 they do.
I mean, because it's like now I'm a very sexual person. I love sex. I've been more sexual than anybody I've been with in a relationship. However, there's another part of life called making money,
Yeah,
pursuing your goals and dreams and stuff. So you
yeah,
have more in common than just good sex. I mean, good sex is good for that hour or two that you in it.
yeah, yeah,
Eventually, you got to get out the bed. Then what?
yeah, exactly. Or you get old and somebody's shit don't work, and then what? You know,
It's funny that you
because
said, because tomorrow on the radio show, one of the holistic health practitioners is telling men how to correct erectile dysfunction. Because Viagra and Cialis is a multi-billion-dollar industry, so it's more than a few people
yeah,
that's got
yeah,
right. Yeah.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah,
and actually, that's one of the issues that women deal with as we get older. Even if there's nothing wrong with us, the men in our age group are starting to, you know, it ain't working the same.
right,
So
right, right,
it's a problem. And then everybody look at us funny when you wind up with a younger guy, but his stuff is still working right. But then
right,
you have the challenge of you don't have anything in common with him.
right. Yeah, it's different. Those are those pros and cons.
Oh, you got a little
Those
coffee.
pros and yeah, I've been drinking Sprite this morning, 7 Up. But yeah, that's the pros and cons of dating now. When you get older, I mean, you got the other thing, you got a lot of other stuff to deal with. So that's where I feel like that's where love comes in, where you know certain things just don't matter. You know,
Yeah, to me, love is what makes it worthwhile. It's the love that makes you want to stay in it. Because without the
right,
love, what else do you have? So let me ask you
right.
this: why do you think these changes occurred?
The changes occur
Why?
in the people or in
And
life.
like the changes in dating. Why do you think dating changed?
Um, Expectations. Everybody got more different expectations. Uh, in life, it's like asking a 777-year-old person why people don't live to be 777 years old anymore. It's you got people that, I mean, the times have changed. People are looking at relationships now as a pillar or a stepping stone. When I'm done with this person, I can go to the next. Or I mean, like a reason to get divorced, irreconcilable differences.
Hmm.
Like, really? You don't nowadays people don't work through irreconcilable differences because you're gonna have that in this relationship, the next relationship, and you had it in the relationship before. That's why you didn't get married to the person before, because
That's
of
really
irreconcilable differences. You know, so I mean, I just think people just it this social media, and I really have to say this social media because on social media everybody knows something but don't know shit. You know, and everybody opinion matters.
when it really don't. Okay, so we do have our guests are starting to get backstage. I'm gonna go ahead and start the show officially because it is 3 o'clock. So I want to
Everybody
welcome.
opinion matters. Huh?
Oh, you weren't even listening
Okay.
anymore. See how my co-host is doing me, y'all? He just ain't even paying attention to me no more. And then you must have put
No, I
yourself on.
was listening. No, I was
Oh,
listening. The signal is doing whatever it's doing.
oh,
Let
okay.
me turn the
Because
Wi-Fi off. Maybe I'll be all right.
I couldn't
Yeah.
hear you a second ago. Apparently, the more I talk, the more my throat is gonna uh, bother me. I'm gonna have to keep drinking my wine. I guess that's the reason for me to keep sipping.
Yeah.
All
There
right,
you go.
so it is 3 o'clock. So I want to officially welcome everybody to the Xavier Fox Talk, and this is my monthly podcast. I don't do it every month. That is my intention, but it doesn't happen that way all the time due to life. Sometimes happens. So today we are talking about the evolution of relationships, and I have 6 different personalities coming on in addition to my co-host, Mr. Jeffrey Davis, and they are going to share their opinion. Everybody's in a different age group, different life experiences, male and female, and we're going to get everybody's opinion. So I'm waiting on one other person before we start the first segment because I wanted them to be on at the same time. Let me see here. What is this? Somebody said they're hearing an echo. I don't know how you're hearing an echo. That has to be on your side because I don't have anything going on over here that would give an echo. All right. We're waiting on Miss Cornelia Time to pop on in here. And then we are going to get started with our first segment. Let me see if I can speed her up a little bit. Okay. All right. So, okay, it's gone. Good. All righty. Well, I'm going to go ahead and bring our male viewpoint on. All right. Here we go. Hey, Marvin.
Hey everybody, how y'all doing?
Hey, how
Good.
you doing?
What's
Good,
going
good.
on with you today?
What's going on? Happy Sunday, everybody.
Yeah.
Back at you.
I have a couple questions and I want you to express your viewpoint. We all know it's going to be interesting. So, the first question is, how has dating changed? Like just in you are what,
43.
39?
43.
Oh, I missed a few birthdays. Okay, I missed a few birthdays.
That's all
Unless you
right.
like
That's
not
all right. I'll take that.
unless you're not quite telling the truth on social media. People do that. So how has
Mhm.
dating changed like in your experiences?
So let's see. So let me do 20 years ago. So 20 years ago, for what I can see with myself, with others, dating is more wide open now. Dating is more because of social media, because of the different dating sites. People, men and women, have more options now. Some people will say that's a bad thing. Um, my belief is that the more options that you have more things to go through. But generally, the more like we tell our children, hey, look, get an education, learn how to do multiple things. You learn how to do multiple things, you'll be able to succeed better maybe in life. So I think when you have more options, inherently that's better. I think what happens is sometimes people say, oh, well, if a human being has too many options, then they'll just discard what might be of value or what they feel as though, oh, I think your co-host was saying that, oh, I can just go from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, and there's no repercussion or there's not any like backdrop to it. I look at it in the opposite way. I think for men and for women, I think having more options, more ways to date, um, things of that nature, I think is good. I think it's good. Like I said, for both genders. Also, if I can put this in, particularly, I think for women it's better. I think traditionally women were, oh, okay, this man cares about you, he loves you, and you must be tied to the hip to him for 40, 50, 60 years. And if trouble comes, let's see, maybe 35, 40 years ago, divorce was kind of taboo. Divorce was, oh no, you don't get divorced, you work it out, you do this. And so I think for women, um, I think in 2021, overall, I think it's a lot better. You have more options. You don't have to be stuck to just one person, and I think your co-host said for better, for worse. Yeah, for better, for worse. But sometimes if things just aren't working out, so you either have two options. You leave, and for a lot of women, that wasn't an option 30, 40, 50 years ago. Now it's more of an option where, hey, look, you know what? I went out on 4 dates. Me and this person are not necessarily clicking. I had the option to go elsewhere. Whereas 30, 40 years ago, sometimes you're kind of stuck with that person and you're in a relationship or you're in a dating phase where you're not really into it, but society and culture is telling you, oh, you have to stay the course. You have to do this. So I just think now dating, there are more options. And what I believe is that people I don't want to get in trouble. I think
Say what
people of a,
you
No,
feel.
say what you're saying,
Say
brother.
what you feel.
I think people of a certain age, both genders, I believe they're using 30 and 40 and 50 and 60-year-old ideas and they're trying to bring them into the present. So like, for example, if I get in a car today and someone says, hey, pass me that CD, most people are going to say, well, hold on. CDs were 30, 40 years ago. Why am I handing you a CD? We have Bluetooth, we have all this new technology. So sometimes when I hear men and women saying, oh, this should happen, or this is how my parents did it. And I'll just think, yeah, you can use that. But if you learned something 20, 30 years ago, and theoretically your parents learned that same thing 20, 30 years ago, you're bringing something into 2022 almost that was taught to you and was brought to you 50 or 60 years ago. And the same way technology has changed, the same way travel has changed, the same way we have cars now that can drive themselves, that can park themselves. In the terms of dating and relationships and marriage, I think that there are a good number of people who are not maybe fully accepting of how things have kind of evolved and have kind of changed over the decades and over the years.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, thank you for that opinion. We're going to come back to you. I see my beautiful friend, Miss Cornelia Time, has joined us. Hey, girl.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm okay. If I may, just jump right on in.
Jump right on in.
Okay, Marvin, thank you for that transparent perspective. I do have to disagree with you. I'm a little bit older, more seasoned. And one thing I could tell you that I agree with time with the there's the thing called the sign of the times. We do not do the same thing in the 20s that we did back in the 60s or the 70s or 80s.
Right.
And like right now with this new pandemic, we're not doing the same thing that we did just 2 years ago. But I will tell you this, regardless of time, there's one thing that remained the same. Number one, we're human beings. Number two, we have a heart that yearns to love people naturally. I mean, we're not animals. Animals are the only creatures on this earth that reprocreate, they do things, and there's no attachment. But then again, there are some animals that do, but for the most part, we're human beings, and it's normal. So whether it's 1800, 1999, and today 2012, that thing, we're all want love. We want love. We want a companionship. We want to build something with someone. There's a lot of people, just like you said, that since social media, they feel like they have all these options. It's an illusion. It's an illusion. You have 4,000 or 5,000 Facebook friends, and then prior to Facebook, you only had about maybe a handful, if you had that many. So it's like a kid in a candy store. Wow, wow, wow. You want everything, and it seemed like it's easy accessible. But after you've wasted 1 year, 2 year, and now within the age of Facebook being in its 10th or 11th, I'm not sure. I think it's 11 or 12 years. I see people that friended me and connected with me 9, 10, 11, 12 years old on Facebook, still doing the same old thing, still talking the same old thing, and we have mutual friends. So everybody's snapshotted. These people are exposed for being Facebook stalkers, and they haven't ended up anywhere. Therefore, a lot more people have been used, a lot more people have been hurt, a lot more people have been deceived, and there are a lot more people with 5,000 friends, but they're lonelier than ever.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And I'm going to start this next question with you, Cornelia, and then we'll go over to Marvin. Why do you think this change occurred? I mean, so we have the options on Facebook, on social media, but why do you think that thrill of all these options, because a lot of them aren't even in the same city as you? What's the thrill of all of the options? If you meet somebody that's a quality person, why do you think this change went from finding a quality person to just enjoying a whole bunch of mediocre people?
Well, let's keep it real. It's convenient. Most of these men, again, they're lacking real social skills. And now all of a sudden, at the tap of a button or swipe right, swipe left, they're connected to women that a lot of times wouldn't give them any attention if they were to try to interface with them in person. And it's not because, there are some women with attitude problems. I know that. There are some women who have set their expectations really, really high, where the average Joe Blow, doesn't get a chance. There's different scenarios, but the one thing that I've noticed is a lot of these men wouldn't even be in the same social circle, or the same area code to meet these women. Now all of a sudden, bam, you're on an app and you got all these people, swipe right, swipe left, click this, you're talking to people. They're getting opportunities that they would have never received before this. And so they're trying to take full advantage of it. But like I said, I bet you guys can't argue the fact that they've met all of these people, and then they're still single. If they want to be, that's fine. But they're not in love. They do not have a serious relationship. Again, a lot more women are hurt and frustrated and disappointed, and so are a lot more men. I mean, nobody puts their worst picture on Facebook social media.
Right. I say that all the time. Everybody putting their best one out there.
You take.
I do.
Keep it real.
I do.
You take about 10 shots, and then you say, okay, this is the best one. Snap. But in real life, you get one try. Okay. So right. That has a barrier. But at the end of the day, we're grown, and we have to take responsibility for our own actions. So you want to play around with social media and all this kind of stuff and keep thinking you're going for the next best thing, your next best thing. At some point, everybody has to wake up in the mirror and say, what am I doing? What is my goal? What is my goal? What is the purpose behind this? Are you still trying to have fun? You just want to have fun until you're 50, 60, 70, 80? You just want to have fun? I mean, what is your goal?
Okay. And let's throw it back over to Marvin. What's your rebuttal to that? Why do you think the change occurred?
So I think it's a number of things. That was quite interesting, her take. I agree with some of it. I think so. She says the men go into the DM. So here's my take on that. Even if a man goes into a woman's DM, and he wouldn't necessarily deal with her in a certain type of social circle. I think what she's saying is, oh, out on the street, he wouldn't even get the gumption to walk up to her and say, hey, how you doing, or whatever like that. I get that. With that, the women are still taking to the men. So with what she's saying, oh, this guy wouldn't even measure up. But if we're not necessarily using stats, but the men are still talking to these young ladies, and the young ladies are saying, hey, you know, I dated this guy for this amount of time. So the guys are still reaching out, and the young ladies are still accepting and moving forward with it. Also, in terms of, she was saying, how old are you going to be? 40, 50, 60, you know, and still maybe not married in a fruitful relationship. Stats are showing that people are marrying less. There are more people there are people having less kids. People are everything that was sort of built up, you know, 20, 30 years ago. You get married, you have 3 kids, you have the nice home, you have 2 cars. Not all of it. Some of that is somewhat fading. Somewhat. Not saying totally. Some of that is somewhat fading, where you have men who are waiting longer to get married, women waiting longer to have children, and things like that. So once again, I think it's just, as time goes on, there's just somewhat of a shift. I won't necessarily blame men or women for the shift. I just think it's a shift of times. I just saw a stat the other day where they're saying restaurants aren't seeing the profits that they saw 20, 30, 40 years ago, because they're saying that younger people are not going on dates as much as people maybe 40 and above did
Wow.
20, 30 years ago. So I have 2 teenage children. When I was younger, I wasn't a big dater, but you know, I would go out, I would pick the young lady up, or we would meet up. My children, they hang in groups. I can think of a couple times, but most of the time they're hanging in groups. When I go out, when I see younger people, I see more younger people. I see people on dates, but I see more people in groups. So I think, as like I said before, as time goes on, it's just for whatever reason, whether it's social media, whether it's people have more options, whether it is so for another example, uh travel is a lot more obtainable through. So 40 years ago, someone who lived in Atlanta theoretically couldn't meet someone in LA. Obtainable. Travel has really come down. So uh tomorrow a young man might say, hey, you know, we've been talking for a couple months. I'd like to see you. I'm going to book you a flight, you know, and I'll send you my ID so you can look me up. With that was not able to happen um 30, even 20 years ago. So I think
I have to disagree. I have to disagree.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
Yeah.
me
so
too.
so are
had-
y'all so
Yeah.
so
Mhm.
are y'all saying that 20 and 30 years ago, that travel and that someone being able to just pick up a phone, if someone gets on Tinder right now,
Mhm.
and let's say they swipe, and they see someone and they say, oh, he's nice looking, oh, she's nice looking, my thing is, what's to say that they cannot form a bond? I understand what you're saying. You're saying that people have so many options now, and they're not bringing anything fruitful to, and they're going to just be 40 and 50 and 60 and 70, and they're just playing around. And my thing is, I think the options, and I think social media is giving people a different type of vehicle, a different type of platform to meet. And I'll also say, I believe if social media wasn't as dominant as it is now, that the trajectory would probably still be that people just aren't getting married as much. They're getting married older. And I just think this is just the trajectory of how culture and society is going. And not to say in another 40 and 50 years, it'll go back to the, hey, the man, the man doesn't say, hey, do you want to go Dutch? The man doesn't say, well, who's going to pay the tip? It might go back to the old traditional way, but I just think present right now, things have kind of shifted away from maybe the way we're used to things
Let,
going.
Let me just hop in here and see if my co-host has any questions for our people on the panel right now.
I don't have any questions. I'm listening, but I do want to say that you more people now on social media are pretending to be where back 20 years ago we couldn't pretend. We were exactly who we were, and if we traveled, if we moved around, we had an opportunity to see way more people and real live people in
Yeah.
real communication, real exchanging of phone numbers, real whatever you want to call it, game, real conversation, just real talk. You can say whatever you want to say on social media. And what happens to those guys, like the young lady said, more people get hurt because of it now, is because people play so many games. A 5'6" dude on social media will tell everybody that he's 6'5"
Right.
until they or a fat girl will tell guys that she's small and petite. You know,
But that's
so
the
you
but that's the not to cut you off. That's the vehicle. So the vehicle is so what we're doing right now. This wasn't even happening 20 years ago. So if we're doing this right now, and someone says, "Oh, hey, that person. Oh, how to?" Then the vehicle is how we met was through the app. Then human nature kicks in. You start talking, and I get what y'all are saying. You're saying people can be, but I think this is just the vehicle. And then when people ultimately have to meet up. People ultimately have to talk. People ultimately have to. If a young lady says no, he's not sophisticated enough for me, she will probably get that through maybe conversations online or even meeting up. I believe social
well,
media is just a vehicle where
right.
people can link up. But I agree with you. Ultimately, like here in the DC area, we call people who are socially unadjusted, we say Bama. So ultimately, a young lady might say, "Whoa, you know what? Online, he's cool, he's funny, he's this and that, and now I'm meeting him, and he's 5'5.5." And he doesn't look like he's had a haircut or shape up in about 2-3 months. And okay, cool. I don't want to deal with that. But the vehicle to even get to meet him wasn't around 20 or 30 years ago. So I think there are more people linking up now. There are
So
more people in terms of just not even relationships, just in terms of friendships.
the question that I
Mhm,
want to add, the question that I want to ask you,
mhm,
how many people do you think it's a crazy question, but it's a good question. So
mhm.
how many people do you think commit suicide or social suicide by not being between now and 20 years ago, by
Mhm,
not being who they say they really are? Because that's the main issue. That's why people get their feelings hurt. That's why
mhm,
people get left at restaurants. That's why people get
mhm,
left at wherever they. If you go pick somebody up and she ain't who
mhm,
they say they is, they left on
mhm.
the porch, so on and so forth. See, back in the day, we didn't have that problem because
Okay.
I met
Yeah.
I met you, and you
Mhm,
were exactly who I met
mhm.
because we didn't have the swipe right or left.
Yeah.
It was we saw you wherever we
Mhm,
were and we
mhm.
walked up to you. We
I
we still people our age still want to do that.
I understand that. What I'm saying is the vehicle is allowing more people to become. Don't even take it in terms of relationships. There are
Yeah,
people
but
that I've met.
is that a vehicle that you choose?
Yeah. So the term I believe is ghosting. That probably happened 20, 30 years ago. Now what happens? Men and women can say, "Hey, you know what? I don't like the way this conversation is going. So you know what? I'm either going to tell him or her, or I'm just not going to respond to them."
See,
20,
back in our day, ghosting happened after the first date.
I
It didn't
understand that.
happen.
So my
It didn't happen before the first date. It didn't happen
so to
when we met.
mhm,
You know.
to a, so I just think it's a different vehicle. I remember being younger. you had to get a girl's number. You had to go rip a piece of paper off. You had to get a pen or paper, right?
Yeah.
They would call it booking. Did you book or did I remember that? I'm old enough to remember that. My son, who is about to be 17, has probably never had to do that. He's probably never had to go to McDonald's and say, hey, can I get a pen and a piece of paper real quick? So to me, it's just a vehicle. He still might have wanted to engage with a young lady. Now he can just say, hey, and I'm pretty sure, and I know this for a fact, younger people don't even ask for people's phone numbers anymore. They say, hey, let me get your TikTok. Let me get your IG. So you have to remember, when you do that, if my son does that to a young lady, she says, sure, my Instagram is Talisha. Let me see.
All right. So
Talisha.
let me just hop in here because I want to bring on our next segment of people. So we're adding Mr. Steve Tolles to the discussion here, and we're going to continue on with this. Hey, Steve.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing okay.
All right. So I want to hop in with the next question, and I want to make it aside from social media. What is the biggest change in dating, relationships, and the view of marriage? I want to start with you, Steve, and then go to you, Cornelia, and then go to you, Marvin.
Okay. Taking social media out of the milieu is, I mean, that I think that's one of the major differences. But I will also say that feminine empowerment, and as I've heard you guys say earlier, women seem like they may have been like pushed into a corner, like they were backed into a corner, like they were stuck on making the decisions they had to make. I don't necessarily know from knowing things that some older folks that I know about have gone through. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but even taking that as a fact, I think now with women working and women having more freedom or more access to certain things, I think now the fact that they're making choices, it changed the game on how men play things now, because now the women have more options. Even though I always think women have all the options in the world, but now the options are blatantly put in their face, and so it makes it it's made a definite change in how men interact with women and women interact with men.
So you think women having money and having their own independence and stuff is what made why the biggest change came along?
Yeah, no, not to say this might sound funny, but the feminist movement. Is like that's the female empowerment movement, and not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, but I definitely think that it's changed the way we interact.
Okay, Cornelia, what's your thoughts?
Oh boy. Like I said, as a seasoned woman, there's been many different layers in my life with different scenarios and different people, and that helped me draw my conclusion of what I'm about to say now. Women are more empowered. They are becoming more educated and being placed in higher positions than ever before. We see that. Prime example, we have an African American vice president woman, and it's amazing. But my question to that is, because a lot of times men are saying women are at a point where we don't need them or we can do everything for ourselves. Women can go out and do everything for themselves, but the truth is, we want someone there with us. We want someone there with that same ambition. God didn't make women supernatural where they are the only ones who can achieve these things. Men can too. So why not both of us build this? Both of us get these positions. Both of us get educated. Both of us get on our grind. It's not a competition where, oh, she don't need me anymore. No, she needs you. As a matter of fact, she needs you even more, because the higher we get, the harder those blows come at us. The harder those blows. There's been areas in my life where I wasn't on top when I became a mom. First became a mom. I couldn't be out here on the grind every day. I had to be at home and raise my son, my kids, my god kids, my family. There was a point where I was taking care of my mother. I couldn't be out there trying to get every position. I'm taking care of my family, and it was awesome to have a husband at that time to help me. But as soon as things got settled and I started climbing up back to the capabilities I have to be this superwoman, which I don't like that title, but to be the empowered, strong woman, I noticed how the men had a problem with it. And they go for women, easier women, more available women, and women who do not hold them accountable. So, as Steve said, we've changed, we've done that. My question is, how come the men can't step up as well? And we all climb the ladder together.
Steve, I think she's asking that.
Oh, I don't necessarily think. See, and that's the thing. I don't necessarily think it's the men or the women climbing apart separately. I'm thinking it's more so like the women are at the point where they're looking at guys who are doing as well as they are, or doing maybe even moderately better, but because they're not doing way better, or they're not doing dramatically better, they're not good enough. See, that what you just did is a kind of a tricky thing, because on its face it makes all the sense in the world. But if you take a guy who's out here making 65 a year, not great, not bad, and you take a woman who's making 65 a year, I promise you, on everything I know, there's a great chance in the world that she's looking for a guy that's making six figures. And if you're making the same amount she is, then all of a sudden, you're just a humdrum guy, and then that's where the problem comes in. And so a lot of things we really got to look at things in the context that they happen in. And the other thing I really wanted to add is one of the things that we talk about all the time about black men not needing black women or black women not needing black men. When women say that, I want to make sure we understand that 20% of black folks voted for Donald Trump in the last election. And most of those folks that voted for Donald Trump were not black women. They were black men. And a lot of the reason they were voting for, the reason that happened is because they feel a certain way about being abandoned by black women. I really distinctly feel that. And if we continue to say black women don't need black men, if you continue to say that out loud, then black men are going to take that more to heart. And we will do things. People vote to hurt their own self-interest all the time. If we continue to do that, we're headed down that path, because there's no way in the world 20% of black folks should have voted for Donald Trump. Just not true. It shouldn't happen. And that's primarily the reason why it happened.
Okay, Marvin, what do you have to add to this? What is
go ahead.
Outside of social media?
So I just want to, some of what Steve was saying. So I think there's somewhat, particularly for African American people, there's somewhat of a counterbalance. There's somewhat of, because black women are the most educated group in the United States. And black women, I believe, during the crack era, black women held down the black family, even though there wasn't a man there. Black women were still there doing the best they could to raise children and things of that such. When you fast forward now to what he was saying, I think this was a stat, I think I heard it from Kevin Samuels, that there's less than, so women want to feel protected, and we understand that. There's less than 5 or 4% of, and it's probably maybe lower for black men, that make over six figures. The average person in the United States, I think, makes only $42,000 a year. So I think sometimes black men feel resentment if they haven't climbed the ladder necessarily in terms of education or career. And the woman, and I'll just say this, I think it's a wrong mentality to have, but I think some black men have it. And I've heard this from black women. They say, hey, I'm dealing with this guy, I'm climbing a little bit more than him, and now he thinks I'm trying to make him feminine or whatever, because he figures, oh, I'm making 115 and he's making only 58,000, and I care about him and I love him, but he thinks that I'm going to go and leave him for the lawyer or doctor because I haven't, he hasn't caught me in terms of money and things like that. So I think sometimes, particularly with us African Americans, that happens, where it's like, okay, I'm the man of the house, but she's making double what I'm making. So automatically I'm thinking that she is going to start trying to call shots or start trying
Here's a
to
here's a
to.
here's a.
to
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
mhm,
I like what you're saying, but here's a
mhm,
question:
mhm.
does money make you a stronger man or a lesser woman, or vice versa?
So
Does more
in
money or
so
less money?
so
Because
so in
I believe a man is a man and should be
mhm,
treated as such,
in,
whether he
uh,
makes 50 cents or $50,000.
inherently you're correct, sir. It's the same with height. It's the same with weight. It's the same with how you perceive. Women say, now, someone earlier said something about men, what they do on social media in terms of, so remember, there are a lot of young ladies that say, oh, as long as he's doing well for, as long as he's doing for himself, money doesn't matter. Oh, height doesn't matter. Oh, weight doesn't matter. What kind of car doesn't matter? And we hear this. Black men hear this, and then some black men say, well, hold on. Not all, but some black men say, well, hold on. You're saying this, you're saying that money doesn't matter. But then on the other hand, black men are saying, we're seeing a whole bunch of women that are saying, I want to live in a $700,000 home. I want to drive a Tesla. I want to do this. So the man is saying, what you're saying on this end, talking about, hey, this doesn't matter, isn't lining up with this over here. And I'm not saying that that's wrong or right, but I think to what Steve is saying and to answer what you're saying, it sounds great on social media that, hey, these things don't matter. But in reality, we know for men and women, certain qualities matter. And I think the economic thing piece. So real quick, I think 50 years ago, woman made 52 cents on a man's dollar. Now women are up to 77 cents on a man's dollar. To Steve's point, women have more options now. Some women are saying, hey, look, I'm not going to be in a bad relationship for 30 or 40 years. I make enough money where I can take care of myself, my children, and I can, travel or whatever. And so the economics is maybe probably the greatest equalizer now. Where 50 years ago, a woman couldn't get divorced because she couldn't go out there and just go get an apartment or go get a condo. Now a woman can say, hey, I've been married 8 years. This isn't working. We're going to split up. I'm going to leave. And I'm able, because of the money I'm earning now, I can do for myself and I don't have to be in this bad situation. So like I
But
said,
instead of putting everything in the pot, because if two people make one pot, then
I,
why should it matter how much you put in the
well,
pot?
I'll just say this and I'll let someone else talk. I'll defend women on this. Women have historically stayed. Women have been the ones that stayed during cheating, during the man having these side babies or whatever. So I think now for women, it's a better time. Women do not have to stay around and be married to somebody or be in a relationship with somebody who is physically abusing them, emotionally abusing them, and things of that nature. Now, the marriage numbers might go down. The divorce rate might go up. But I think if you polled women, I don't know, I'm not a woman, they would say, hey, I'd rather this 2021 thing where I don't have to be stuck in something that is bad than compared to maybe what our grandmothers or even mothers had to deal with. So I do think that that's one of the better things where women are making not as much as men, but they're making more now where they don't have to be in these situations, which weren't healthy for them.
So it's funny because someone in the comments just said, is this a political discussion? And, as we have this discussion, it's not political. However, what I'm getting from, the evolution of relationships, finances, and social media have played a large part in it. Cornelia, do you want to throw anything in there real quick before I bring on another person?
Oh, okay. So, again, we can keep comparing the old with the new, but what we have to look at, because time, we may be doing something different 5-10 years from now, but at the end of the day, what is the goal? I mean, what is the goal? I like what World Class Barber said, where two people come together and they have a goal to build together. So if he brings more to the pot this time than she does, fine. Then later on. But back to my point, equally yoked. If a woman is out here hustling and she doing whatever number there is that's more, why can't her partner who is physically able get out there and get his hustle on too? I mean, equally yoked. It's not about competition, who's bringing more, who could do the best. It's about together as a team, what can we do? Because two people, trust me, in this life is better than one. One may get sick, one may fall short. Right now, when something happened, it's all on you. We're carrying the burden. And right now, mental illness, breakdowns, things that break a person's soul right now is at its highest because we're all out here by ourselves, trying to handle it by ourselves. Except for some of us who, for me, I have to tell you, God carries me along the way because the stuff that I take on, I'm currently in Chicago, and the stuff that I take on a daily basis, I would have a nervous breakdown. And it would be so much better if I came home and had that partner to battle this with, and same with the men. If you think women have it hard, Black men, against the prejudice, you guys have a target on your back. It's no secret. You guys have a target on your back. And to come home every day to what? Swipe left, messages, DM. Is that it? Is that the goal? Life goal?
Right.
You're not getting anywhere with that. So I'm coming from a matured person who's, at the end of the day, my end goal is to build more with my partner, to go through this life with someone that's equally yoked mentally, physically, and financially. I might make more for a minute, but guess what? If he got himself together, he can go out there and get his hustle on too.
Okay, well, thank you for that. I just added Miss Nicole Williams to the show.
Hi, Nicole.
Hi, everyone. Great to see you guys.
So I'm going to start the next question with you, Nicole, because I know you got a whole concert to go to and stuff. Black woes us in here. And I want to ask you, when did it become evident that the viewpoints of dating, relationships, and marriage were changing? What was the biggest change that made it evident that things were changing?
Oh, wow. I think everyone touched on it earlier. I was listening in. I just think social media has changed the game and the dating apps. I do think also, I guess, each generation, you kind of want more for your children, I guess, than what you had, right? So I'm an 80s baby. My parents are born in the 50s. So when I was born, my mom and my dad stressed the importance of education, being able to take care of yourself as an adult, regardless of a man, if you're married or not married or have kids. My mother used to say, if you ever have children, you need to be able to take care of them. Well, both parents really, regardless of if there's a man involved or not, you have to be able to take care of your children. You have to be able to take care of yourself. So I don't know, a generation ago, I don't know if that was the messaging. I don't know if, the messaging was get married, that way you're taken care of. But I think those young people we're old now, but those people in my generation, men and women, we were raised, you go to school, you go to college, you get a career, and then you can focus on marriage if that's what you want to do. However, I will say the acts like Cornelia said, swiping left and right, that seems to be the norm these days. When I was coming up in the 90s, we didn't do that. So I would say, to me, that's really the biggest change, social media and dating apps. But the game has not changed. That's what I always say. My mother used to say, the game has not changed, just the players. So the stuff that people doing now, they were doing back then too. People was lying, cheating, gaming, pretending to be whatever back in the 70s, the 60s, the 50s. Like, none of the games that people are playing, none of this is new. There's nothing, whatever's being done now, it's been being done. My dad used to tell me his player days stories, back before my mother, in the 70s, growing up in the disco era, he had a lot of options. So this notion that people didn't have options back then, it's not true. They did. You just had to meet people in person. That's all. That's the only difference. Social media has created a lot of socially awkward individuals who no longer have the confidence to talk to people in real life. So they now have to go to the app. But outside of that, the games are all the same. None of it is really new.
So a lady in the comments, she just said that women don't benefit from marriage anymore. So to me, that's one of the evidence of things changing. What
And
do you?
again, probably due to the fact, to me, that would tie into the financial piece of it, right? If you're marrying a man who financially cannot make your life better, then maybe you won't benefit as much. I don't know. But I think that's why a lot of women are seeking men who they feel are on their level financially, because it's like, I can do bad by myself, right? I pay all my bills and everything on time by myself. So if I'm going to allow you to come into my life, I hope it's because you're making my life better, right? In all areas, not just financial, but that is a big part of it. I think people are seeking, modern women are seeking someone that they perceive to be an equal to. That's all. That's the only difference I see. But I will say a lot of black women, most black women I know, we're willing to work with you, right? You don't have to be rich. You ain't got to be a millionaire. All the black women that I speak to, they just want a man that they can work with, that's going to work for them and not against them. That
Yes.
seems to be what most women that I know, that's what they desire. I don't know anyone that's dating a millionaire. That would be nice, but I just don't know that woman. So I think the modern women, we just want someone who is gonna grind, like Cornelia said, grind and hustle like me. If I can grind and hustle as a single woman, what's stopping you from doing the same thing? Nothing, right? I think that's all people are seeking. And we've dated people in the past that, had nothing, lived with their mama, lived in the basement, whatever. Where did that get us? I think women are just wisening up to the game. That's all. That's the only difference that I can see.
So I see Steve over there giggling. So Steve, do women benefit from marriage? What caused your giggle?
Oh no, that one was covered. Something she said. No, I mean it's just like it's what's crazy is the fact that men in general have never really ever really asked, and even now really been concerned about how much you make.
Yes, they are.
That's not a big deal. And if we have to fight to pull you along with us, and even if you pull us back, if we chose you, that's who we chose. Women will not do it ever. No, I say that. That's a lie. That's a lie. Because if you're the right type of guy to have the right type of something that interests a woman, and I don't want to get into that conversation because me and X will start arguing about it. But if you have that special something, and I have a word for that. I have a word for that. But if you have that special something, a woman will deal with you a lot longer. But if you don't, you can chalk it. And it's amazing to me that, like I see, as Marvin was saying earlier, we talk about men and women being in relationships for a whole bunch of years, and we say that a lot of times, well, how many times women feel like they got stuck, or people got stuck in a relationship they really didn't want to be in. But at the same time, we tend to characterize most marriages like that, and we always forget to talk about the large number of marriages who went through a tough time, and then they came back together, and they look back over their 40 years of marriage and they say, we could have gave up at year 10 when this happened. But then these last 20 years, we had a blessed marriage and an unbelievable time. We had missed all that because we gave up so very easily. And I think that's what happened. When we give women choices, we give men and women choices, they easily give up. We give up real easily instead of fighting for it. And a lot of times we miss the real beauty because we gave up real quick. And that's what I think that's one of our biggest problems. I think that's one of the biggest problems when you have options. Because if I have a great option and I have this person that I'm with, and if I stick with them, then there's 30 years down the line, I could be looking at a beautiful thing. But because I have an option of something I think is better, I'm gonna cut them off real quick and take this other option. And I'm stuck in another situation where it's gonna be about the same until I look at another better option, and I'm doing the same thing over and over and over. So what I'm saying is, a lot of times we have to fight for what we want. I mean, a lot of times what the beautiful thing is not going to be right in front of our face. Sometimes you got to look for it. And me and X have argued about that all the time. Sometimes I honestly believe that if, like, a person you may not be instantly attracted to, if you spend some time with them, you'll find out there's something in them that you really, really like. And you never would have found it if you just gave them a cursory glance.
Yeah, I have an issue with that because
Right.
if I'm attracted to you, what am I spending time with you? What's going to motivate me to spend time with you? And I'm not
Right.
attracted unless we work together. There's some other circumstance. I want to start with you on the next question. Who do you think is most affected by the change in dating relationships and the view of marriage? Men or women?
Who are you asking it?
Cornelia.
Again, I think both men and women are affected by the change. If you want to say who's affected more, I would probably be biased and say females, because I do have a large circle of female friends, and again, all of them are smart, educated, doing well for themselves. They have their own everything. I mean, I'm so proud of my circle of female friends. They're my family, and we're all, again, on our grind. And I also know that there's a common denominator where a majority of them are waiting for that special someone to build more with. We've lowered our expectations sometimes just to have that companionship, and we end up walking away, not because of the money, but because, again, that lack of effort. The lack of effort that you see, and then sometimes having to dim your light to make them feel comfortable. So, you know, the insecurities. A man would be insecurity if you walking out the door to get your grind, he walking out the door he wouldn't be insecure about anything. He's working just as hard as you are. You know, he's putting himself together just as well as you are. And then another thing, men sometimes have a tendency to be real hard on women when it comes to appearance, but they don't seem to put that 100% effort in theirs.
Girls, say that one more time.
And that is always that has confused the mess out of me. I mean, I break my brain to keep my body on point, and it's a lot of women there, a lot of women, whatever. By the time the men come in there, they need help from the car in the front door.
Girl.
Pulling up in the handicapped parking space.
And
I'm like, but they're very critical of us. Soon as we get the baby bulge, soon as things happen with us, or just naturally they're real hard on us. So again, this is one safe way of doing things. Taking it back to the old school. Yeah. Take your time, do it right.
Yeah.
So before you get entangled up in all these different messy situations, we need to just hold our horses. Or in 2021, hold your Trojan horses. Just hold on for a minute. Back up. Okay. Sit down, have some real conversations, not text messages.
Yeah.
Some real conversations. If we can't afford steak and shrimp or whatever it is that suits you, whatever. Well, hey, meet at the park and do a picnic. But sit down and talk. Ask questions. And I tell you something else. A lot of men don't like that situation where they have to talk and reveal. Women talk all day. Well, yeah, they talk all day. But we have to get to a point where we start listening, asking some questions, and then listening to the answer or the avoidance.
Mm-hmm.
If we find out a lot more about each other up front, we could just kind of, save each other some heartbreak, disappointments, and get to that person that's on the same level as you are. If you just want a good time, find a woman out there that's just want a good time too. Then you're both just fine. If you're trying to settle down and build something, find someone else, that's their goal. But when you try to mix it too, it's like oil and water.
Mm-hmm.
It's like oil and water. There's some women out there that can hang with you, and if you just want to do two or three a week, she can do 2 or 3 a week, and you just be fine. Okay. At the end of the day, like I said at the very beginning, we're human beings, and God made a man for a woman. Yeah, I know it's changed. There's the LGBTQABCP or whatever, but I'm old school. Okay, I'm old school. I like the Adam and Eve story. Okay, that's just me.
Okay. So I want to get you in here because I know you have to run to your concert soon.
Yes,
So
yes.
who do you think is most affected by the change?
Ooh, that's a good question. Gosh, I agree 1000% with everything Cornelia just said. I don't know. I guess women more so, maybe a little bit, only in that it seems as though women are the ones more desirous, I guess, of a marriage or committed relationship. So if men are, if it's taking longer to get to that point, then I guess women might be more so affected if that's our desire first. But everything Cornelia just said was spot on. I think a lot of it is boiling down to, I think we get so caught up in preferences, right? Oh, this person wants a tall one. This lady wants a man who's rich. Okay, well, why not take your focus off of those people? Because we're not going to be everybody's type, right? I'm not going to fit everybody's prototype of what they want in a woman, just like whoever man is not going to fit every woman's prototype of what they want in a man. So why don't we focus on the people that do want us, the people that we do have things in common with, instead of worrying about who don't want us? Oh, because I'm not tall enough or I'm not skinny enough. Okay, well, don't focus on those people. Focus on the people that you are what they want. You are what they're looking for, because it's out there. It's just a matter of, like Cornelia said, meeting them, talking, and then connecting on that level. I think we spend way too much time worried about what somebody's preference is, because men have them, like Cornelia said, they have just as many preferences for a woman physically that they say women have for a man financially. So I don't want to hear, oh, she would only talk to me if I make over 6 figures. Well, you're going to only talk to the woman that is 120 pounds or has long hair or whatever it is you like, because everybody likes different things. But men are just as superficial as women, really more so, because a man is not going to give the nice girl a chance who doesn't look like whatever he wants her to look like. And so there's no difference between that. But yet women, we're always told, well, we got to try and make it work with the man that we're not attracted to. Right. We got to accept the man who works at McDonald's, you know. Whereas men, they don't waver on what they want. Men they have a set thing in their mind of the type of woman they want, and that's what they're going to go after. Yep. Even if it means he's single until 50, men will not waver in their type. But yet, for whatever reason, they're mad when women have a type or a preference that really angers them, and I think it's ridiculous.
Or who can twerk the best?
Right. They
twerk the best.
Right, they're more interested in an Instagram model twerking than a woman who, if a woman has some substance and talks about it. I was told women who are smart and have it going on, they're not to talk to a man about it because men don't want to hear that. They only care about what she looked like. So something is not adding up for me.
First of all, I think that's absolutely ridiculous. A lot of what you just said, because I don't know, and I know a lot of guys that are married, and I know a lot of women that are married. I don't know too many guys who have got the woman, exactly the woman they wanted. They had to settle a little bit because they said, okay, right. Well, but you just said we don't take it if we don't get what we want.
When I say settle, he still has to be attracted to her, whatever that attraction is for him, right? So if a man has married someone, no, she may not be the most beautiful woman he's ever dated, but he is still attracted to her.
But what
There's saying is something that he likes.
But what I'm saying is, I know for a fact that there are a lot more women that he would be more attracted to, and but what I'm saying is, you were saying that we're upset because you want a man that makes 150 grand or whatever, and that's. But see, here's the problem is, but the guy that's making 70 gets no play. But the woman who is not necessarily as attractive as the guy, the guy may want a woman that's a certain attractive level. When you get a woman that's not on that level, he will still date her.
A woman, but that's to my point though. Plenty of women are dating the man making 70,000, 60,000, 50,000. Every woman is not obsessed with this 6-figure man, which is the current narrative circulating for whatever reason. Plenty of women are okay with a man not making 6 figures. So why wouldn't your focus as a man be on those women, right? If you're focusing on the woman who wants a man that makes 150 or 200, if you don't fit in that category, why not leave her alone? Why not date the woman who is fine with you making 50,000, 60,000? Because there's plenty of women out there that are with that type of man. Every man that's married is not making six figures. Every man that got a girlfriend is not making six figures. So I think y'all men need to focus on the women who want whatever you have to offer. You need to focus on her. Don't worry about the woman that don't want you because she's not for you. You see what I'm saying? We're doing too much focus on people that is not for us. Focus on who wants you. Because they're out there. There's there's women that's 300 pounds that's married. You know what I'm saying? There is somebody out there who wants what you are offering, whatever that is. You just got to find that person. Don't worry about the other people because it's a waste of your time.
Okay. Well, thank you, Nicole. I know you have to run.
Yes, thanks, guys. I'm going to see Ryan Davis. Bye, guys.
Okay.
Marvin,
Bye, Nicole.
I
Be
want
safe.
Bye. Okay, bye, guys. I'll text you.
to,
Be safe,
and
Nicole.
the question is, where do you see this going?
So this quickly kind of became not a man versus woman thing. It can't, and that's just natural. So Cornelia said something very interesting when she was talking, and she said, for the guys who can't afford the steak dinner or whatever like that. That was very interesting that she put that in there. We, myself included, even though I might be a little younger, we've been raised that the man is supposed to be the provider. And the man is, so fast forwarding now, there's still a good number of women, and maybe society says that man, woman in a relationship, married, the man is providing specifically financially, economically. He's supposed to be doing the big bills and things like that. Now, I heard her say something about, if I'm out there, so she said, if I'm out there grinding and doing what I can do, why isn't he? Let me answer that. The first thing as a human being is, and I think sometimes age might be a factor, how the woman views herself. A lot of times as women get older, men too, but I think more women, woman might say, hey, I got him. He's hitting at 62% of what I want. I really want someone that's hitting at like 75, 80% in total, whatever, height, weight, money, whatever, financial status, career. I think sometimes women say, if I break up with him, is this the last rodeo? Am I going to be able to find somebody else at whatever age? Do I need to latch on to this? And I've heard women say before, I've heard women say they're married, they worked a full day, they come home, they wash the clothes, they cooking the dinner, they're saying the husband is just sitting there watching CNN, watching ESPN as she's doing everything. And I used to wonder to myself, and maybe this is just my self-esteem, but I've heard a number of women say these things. And I said to myself, hey, there has to be a certain point where you check this guy. Not in a negative way, just like, hey, look, can we sit down and talk? I'm doing a big bunch of work here. Or I'm doing this, or I don't like this. So I think what happens is everyone online is saying, oh, I won't do this. Oh, I want this. But when it actually comes to reality, what you're saying is that I think women more so than men, women are allowing, and I'm not saying that the man should, women are allowing men for whatever reason to do certain things which aren't in her best interest moving along. So like I said, I don't know if it's in terms of age, if the woman says, hey, you know what? This might be the best I can get. I don't want to fall out with this, because if I fall out with this, is something else going to come around? If I fall out with this, I don't want to be single or what society says alone for my older years and things of that nature. Also, what I don't necessarily do this. I like to make jokes. I laugh. But look, it's the Russell Wilson Future thing. we understand, and I think Steve was saying that certain men could not make the 125, 130. But they can have attributes where the young lady says, you know what? Okay. So what men say, so you have to remember, most men are saying, look, I'm letting you know I'm a visual creature. Most men, you will rarely hear a man say, man, you know what? If she just lost 75 pounds, man, she'd be a banger. Most men, I've never heard that. Women do say, and I think we're a little bit older, but that dreaded P word, potential. You see she laughing, and I've let my daughter know potential goes out the window maybe mid-20s. Because once you go from about 25 up, you kind of are who you are. Not saying you can't elevate, but so I think sometimes men are more, hey, this is what this is, and I'm taking it for what it is. Sometimes women can get, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, women can get maybe a little dreamy. And woman can say, oh, you know what? But then 10, 15 years down the road, the men will say, well, hold on. You want all these things now. But the man is saying, when I'm looking at your resume, and you go to a job, the job says, okay, tell me about your last job. Tell me about your job before that. So a lot of men say, we're upfront with us being shallow. And I think some men say, women are trying to say, oh no, I don't need all this. Like, oh, I don't need, he could be 5'5". He could, but men are saying, no, let's be in reality that you still want, as you progress, maybe in age, you say, okay, I'll start taking some things off. And let me just say this, for Black women, it's a lot harder to date because other races of women have more men in that spectrum making that 50 to 80,000. So if you I hate to bring race into it, if you're a white woman, if you're an Asian woman, if you're maybe a Latina woman, you just have more available men, in terms of education and things of that nature. So always to defend Black women, I always say that as well. But I just think in general, men in general, particularly Black men, we try to say, hey, look, don't act like you don't want these certain things. Most women want someone who's a provider. Maybe a woman doesn't need someone who makes that much more than them, but you still want a man who makes your life comfortable, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think what men say we're looking back, and the man says, look, I've seen some of these things that you've been doing, and now all of a sudden you want me to come in and be your savior. And a lot of men are saying, for whatever reason, they don't want to do that,
And on your behalf, you are the youngest on this call, aside from, I think Nicole was younger than you. So the group of women that you're talking about are probably younger and maybe less accomplished at that age. I mean, some are very accomplished, in their 30s. But then some don't necessarily get it till your late 30s, early 40s. So, the experiences are different. And that's why I want to have a vast group of ages and experience on here. Cornelia, where do you see this going? If things continue like they are at this point, what you think is going to happen 5-10 years from now?
There's an expression, and off the top of my head, you might know where it comes from, but it says, we're either united together or fools apart. Fools apart. At the rate that we're going, it does look like we're becoming fools apart. Seriously. I don't talk about this much anymore because I like to put positive energy out there and pray that things will turn around. But again, from what I can see, we're in a really bad place. And I'll tell you something too. It's really good to travel. I haven't traveled much these last couple of years because of the pandemic, but it's really good to travel. And it's interesting enough for me to see when you go to the West Coast or Arizona or, Florida or out of the country. The love of my life was from Cuba, by the way. And I learned a lot from someone who comes from a place where they wake up every day with the goal to just eat, versus people who hears like open up the refrigerator and it's full and then close and say, I want something else. You know what I mean? So I've met people from all over the world, friends from Uruguay, wherever, and it was interesting. Their view is they feel the problems that we have in America are just so stupid, and they think that we're spoiled. And you know, a lot of people from other countries, that's part of the resentment they have for other countries have for us. They think that we're spoiled, stupid, and foolish, and in a lot of ways that we are. The things that we're fighting against each other for, it shouldn't even be that. Marvin, I was listening to you and you were giving all these examples, and the only thing that kept coming to my mind is, you're right. It shouldn't even be about money, but there's other values a man can bring to the table. Say if he go to work, he only bringing 50, 55,000 home from work. But you know what else he could do? Instead of the woman who making a little bit more rushing home to pick up the kids and spend $500 a month on childcare, he could bring $500 a month in home if he getting home before her and picking up those kids. You know, let me finish my point. I'm almost there. So it's not always about the dollar. It wasn't for me. I used to pick them. Shoot, I get everything except for picking them up from the gas station. I mean, trust me. You know, and my brother's keeper. No, not anymore. I went from potential to credentials, and that's based on my experience alone. But my heart is still real. And if there was a man that was really, really trying, and I saw it, he was putting his ground on, and I know if he just if he about an inch away from success, and I see he's putting in the work, I probably would go in again and say, okay, I'm gonna help push you that inch so we both can benefit. But you know what happens a lot of times too, when you find someone like that, you help push them along and get them there, and all of a sudden, oh, look at all my options. Look at all my options. So there's different case scenarios. We can't pinpoint one thing on everyone, but it goes back to being equally yoked. What is your goal? Having conversations, these real conversations that Xavier have and people are afraid to really, tell the truth about. Have these conversations with these people and see if you guys are on the same page. Where is this headed? If we don't get it together, every race but the Black American race will benefit everything there is on the earth except for us.
Okay.
Can I say something real quick before Steve goes? So I think the thing that keeps coming up is the options. And the one thing I think we have to remember when we're talking about dating, not necessarily marriage, dating, people say it's not a game, but let's be honest. A man can take a woman out 5 times. She can say, hey, he could have paid all 5 times, opened the door, did everything. And she could say, hey, I'm not feeling you. If that man, so what you just said was, you kind of saying you were building a man. I want to do this real quick. You were building a man up and he just left. Isn't that part? I don't want to pose it as a question. That's part of it. The same way a man can take a woman out, a man can take a woman in with her children, raise those children as his own. And that woman can say, hey, you know what? I don't want to deal with you anymore. So I think part of the option thing is also that humans have free will and they have free choice to do as they want.
Marvin, I see what you're saying, but when I talk about the Black subculture, it's interesting to me when you travel abroad. You see every nationality out there.
My mother.
Every nationality out there.
My mother.
Let me finish my sentence. Every nationality out there, I view it holding hands, doing things together, building things together, getting houses together, doing things together. Every nation, except for us, we're on TV. What is it? Wives of Atlanta, Wives of some whatever. We're on TikTok doing all these different things, fighting each other. It's just
that's entertainment.
It's entertainment, but it's also real. It's also real.
I understand that.
We're constantly fighting each other instead of building each other up.
But there's a reason we're fighting each other. One of the reasons is that we're so flip-flop in terms of, like I said, Black women compared to other races of women don't have enough men due to jail, due to felony, due to not graduating, due to undereducation,
Okay, so stop
to
right
match
there.
up.
Stop right
Mm-hmm.
there. I know about those statistics.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why is it that our subculture,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know that they're, the white man do a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of something
Yeah,
every
yeah.
now and then. And
Mm-hmm.
then, of course, the prison system, the justice system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But why are they filled with black men? Is there something in the woman's DNA that we're missing these statistics?
In terms of what? In terms of you
The-
talking about why black women are
There's
incarcerated?
something in
Black
the female's DNA where we're missing these statistics, where we're the top, nationality.
black
jail.
woman, black woman for
We're the
oh, yeah.
highest race in drugs. We're the highest
Hold
one
on.
in drugs.
No. There's no reason that there should be so many black men. I want to hurry up. I want to get Steve. So many black men in jail. So many black kids without dads. I understand that. Black woman, by percentage for all women, I believe they have the highest rate of woman compared to the population in jail as well. So these things are systemic. There's a stat where African American women are the most obese group of people in the United States by percentage. That's a stat. Now, when I tell people that, no, all black women are just not gorging on brunch, and there are things behind that. So I get what you're saying. What I'm saying is the dating, we don't call it a game, but in actuality, it is kind of a game. And it is. And another thing, real quick, I just want two things. No one's mentioned love today or being in love. And also, where do people hold themselves accountable for their relation? Not anybody on here, but just in general. Where do people hold themselves accountable for their relationship, marriage dysfunction? Is there a point where I can say all these black women want to do is just travel and get degrees, and that's why? Or is there a place where someone can say, hey, you know what? Maybe I'm not the type of person that's really good at making friends. So if I'm not the type of person that's not good at making friends, what will lead me to believe that I'm going to be the type of person that's going to be good at dating or a relationship or marriage? I think sometimes both sides are blaming just this group. And then I don't think people sometimes are looking at their makeup, how they are putting themselves out there and saying, hey, you know what? Some of this might be on me.
So that goes back to what I was originally saying, and at the very beginning, the goal. What is your goal? If it's for love, then find that person that wants it too. If you just want to play games, find somebody that want to do that too. But everybody's game. I put this on one of Xavier's posts this week. Mind you, for the game players, everybody's game time run out.
Okay, so Steve, where do you see this going?
There's an experiment a guy did a whole bunch of times. It's called the Universe 25 experiment. I put this on Facebook a few times. Just look it up. But it's a group of mice, like a group of like 4 mice. They put them in an environment where they have all the food, all the space they could ever want. It's easily available to them. Before it's over, every last one of them dies because they go through a lot of the same things we as people are doing right now, and they come together. They come together for a while and they exist in harmony, but sooner or later it starts to fracture and it starts to fall apart. And we're following that. And the reason they kept doing that experiment is because we as people are following those exact same pathways. And as we drift further and further apart, we'll drift further and further apart, and there'll never be a coming back. And so we've got to start doing something. That's why I'm sorry, Xavier, for mentioning his name, but I talk about Kevin Samuels all the time because one of the things I really think he focuses on that I really am proud of, that I'm really big on, is black people being married. I mean, we've got to do something about marriage in our society as a whole, and marriage in the black society is specific, because without that, we really will fall apart. Humanity will suffer greatly if we don't fix that problem.
All right. So I want to thank you all for participating on the show. I know we went over a little bit. That always happens. And I'm glad that you stayed here. I do want to ask that you go to my page and check out the live thread, because there's a lot of comments and stuff on there. You might want to hop on and respond to something on the comment. Do any of you have any last words?
Just want to give a shout out to our guest on the comments section. David Pendleton had a lot to say, and then my girl Nicole. It was so good to see her. I haven't seen her on Facebook for a while. And then Thomas Melton. We appreciate your participation. I've been reading all the comments. Thank you so much.
Okay, good. That's a good thing. Fellas, you guys got anything? Any last words?
Yeah, enjoyed myself. It was a real civil Discord. No cussing. No, we didn't.
Sometimes
we
there's
didn't.
some cussing on the show, but
We didn't get to jab at each other and all that. We were some black folk who could have different opinions, but still, be civil. So yeah, I enjoyed myself my first time on.
That's what my page and my shows are always about. Difference of opinions. That's how you learn stuff. That's
yes,
open mind to different opinions. I'm not a person where everybody has to agree with me. Matter of fact, I get a different outlook on life when you don't agree with me. Now, I might not agree with whatever that outlook is you try to tell me, but at least I know, hey. So yeah. Okay, I want to thank everybody for being on the show, and
real quick,
see you guys next.
Hold on. I had a good time on the show. It was a great. It's the second time I've been on your shows, and that's a great thing. But quick shameless plug: the Woodstock of House is a documentary that me and my team have done. It just got finished doing a tour at the Black Harvest Film Festival. If you go to the Capital City Film Festival in Austin, Texas, you can watch the film virtually there, and please participate and share it on Facebook, all those things, because we're trying to win the third audience award in a row. So if you could please participate, I would greatly appreciate it. It's called the Woodstock of House. Thank you so much.
nice.
All right.
Nice.
Well, congratulations
Nice.
on that. Okay, and that is it for the Xavier Fox Talk. I hope you guys will tune in tomorrow morning for my radio show. I'm going to have the holistic health practitioner on there, and he is going to help you guys who need a little help with erectile dysfunction. So I'll see you guys in the morning.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank
Y'all
you,
be good.
Talk
Bye,
to you
everybody.
soon.